And then I think today we should be able to finish the first note. Hold on. I need to get, okay, already joined, I believe. Okay, how do I, okay. I need to get to the note, bring it up here, and then. Okay, so today we should be able to finish this Pandas note. And if you recall, last class, toward the end of last class, we discussed hierarchical indexing and column. And so here is one example, multi-level indexing, okay. And over here, what it shows is multi-level column. So today we will start with a concept. The first is called the stack method, okay. And what over here it means, stack method is try to compress a level in the data frames column, okay. So over here, let's take a look. So this is the data frame, and we have two levels of columns. So two level, and for indexing, we just have one level, single level, okay. So it's multi-level. And when you apply the stack method on this data frame, okay, so let's see what the result will be. So also remember, both of this column, we also have name, okay. So the outer column, so this is outer level column. And this is, and it also has name. And this is inner level column. And it also has a name, second. One is called first, one is called second, okay. Let me get a student in, okay. Oh, we have one more coming. Hold on, okay. I need to go to the meet all. Okay. And then, okay, so on that data frame, we call the stack method. And if you take a look, what is the result going to look like is, so instead of originally we have two columns, is it? Now we only have single column, so one column, but we have two level of index, is it? And with this stack, original, the second, this second is on the inner level of column, is it? So after you call the stack, hold on, to admit. Oh, hold on. Need to view, get everybody in. Okay, so after we call the stack, the innermost level. So with this called stack, we didn't plug in any arguments, okay? And then the innermost level of, so here is the innermost level of columns. As it is kind of shifted as indexing, okay, indexing. So the data frame shape also changed, okay, so here it shows. So kind of switch from multi-level column to multi-level indexing. So here is the first example showing just called stack. And then let's see if you plug in with some argument. So in this case, it's 0, okay? So then the result, if you take a look, so here we have this is the outer level of column, okay. Column. And when you call stack and plug as 0, is it? What it's going to kind of like a switch, from column switch to index. So that's the outer level, is it? So 0 corresponding to the outer level of the column. Then it switch to innermost index. Okay, so now say similar. So it changed from 2 level of column to 1 level of column and 2 level of indexing. Okay. Okay, so here is this example. And then the next example, what it shows, you can also plug in with 1. Okay, when we plug it with 1, then it's the second, it's an inner level, the second level of column, switch to the indexing. Okay, so this is when you plug in with 0 and 1. And what the next one shows us is you can also plug in with a list, sub 0, sub 1, that and call stack. And then what we have now is, so the result basically is kind of like a series, is it? You don't have any. So it's a series, but over here we have 3 level of indexing, is it? And the 0 goes to right after the original indexing, and 1, the original inner level of column, is it, becomes the innermost indexing. Okay, so for this one, it's kind of you convert the original table, look like a data frame as the series. Okay, so this shows the stack. And what we have over here, it shows another data frame. Okay, so for this data frame, you have single level of column, but multiple level of indexing. Okay, and then when we call stack, and we know when you call stack, you switch column to index. Is it so? A, B goes to indexing. So once again, it's kind of converted to series. Okay, and opposite to stack method, we have another method called unstack. Okay, unstack. So it is the inverse of the stack operation. Okay, so let's take a look at the stacked. So what we will continue with this stacked. So the stack basically over here, you can see it's kind of like a series, but with multi-level of indexing, okay? A, B is the innermost, first is the outermost, second is a level of index. And when we call unstack, if we didn't plug anything, it will automatically convert the innermost index to column, that convert it back to column. Okay, and then what next one shows, you can also plug in with some number to specify the axis that you want to unstack. So here we plug in with 1, okay, with 1. So 1 over here, if you take a look, it's what? It's convert this second level of index, is it converted to column? Okay, so 1 and 2 changes to column. From original, it's indexing, is it? But now it changes to column. Okay. So that's, and you can also plug in with 0. Is it plug in with 0? And if we plug in with 0, if you recall, this is the outermost label indexing, is it? And if you call unstack 0, then it changes to column. Okay, changes to column. Okay, and so first changes to column, and here you still have second, and here you have the original label index. Okay, so that's regarding regarding stack versus unstack method. Okay, what next one try to show? We can also use a very nice feature in Pandas. It's a pivot table. Okay, for pivot table, it allows to do regroup and reshape data. Okay, so that you can automatically do sort, count, total, average in some table. Okay, so let's take a look how it works. Okay, so we have the data frame showing here. So this is our data frame. And this data frame we create from what? From a Python dictionary, okay? So we have this data frame, and then let's take a look over here. Then you call pandas. There's a method called pivot table. Okay, pivot table. So pivot table, then you plug in with that data frame. Is it? And then you specify, so here values. So I remember this is column D, is a column D. And then specify also index and the column for the new data frame after you do the pivoting, okay? After we call the pivot table, and it's still a data frame. So that's why over here you specify the index and the column. And then you also specify how you are going to do aggregation, because pivot table is not just, it's different from stack and unstack. Okay, stack and unstack won't change the original table. It doesn't do any operation on the original table. With pivot table, what it does is apply some functions, okay, it applies some functionality, it's aggregation functionality to the data frame, okay, then rearrange it, okay. So what over here says aggregation function, one is do summation, one is do the length count, okay. And before we take a look at the result, let's first take a look, okay. So the first one, A, column B, column C, column D, column E, okay. And what over here is specified value is D. So basically, so here is A, I believe, B, C, D, and E. Is it? So E is going to be out. Okay, E, column E is going to be out. And you are going to apply aggregation function, so summation and the length. Both of these two operation on what? On column D, okay, on this column of the data shows, is it? So you're going to do summation and length, but you are going to, so this kind of going to do the regrouping, is it? Because you re-specify the index is from column A and column B, is it? And the column is from the original column C, is it? And over here is what? You're going to do sum and summation and the length, is it? So it's going to be rearranged like this. So all of the value over here, so it's for the summation. Okay, summation. And the value over here is kind of for counting, as it is the length. Okay, if you take a close look, you will also find in this new table, you also have some net values. Okay, that's because for this like index, etc., and this VA, it may not exist as it for this specific column. Okay, so that's why you have this kind of new result. But be careful, okay, the pivot table, the purpose is to do regroup and reshape data. Okay, and mostly it's for certain level of aggregation functionality. Okay, so it may sort, maybe count, total, average, something else as you can specify. Okay, so that is regarding pivot table. Okay, the first example. The second example, let's take a look. We still continue work on that data frame, is it? And which column we are going to be based on column D. And we will only pick the original data frame's column A as index, and the original's column C as the column. And for the aggregation, we do the maxi. Okay, we try to find the maximum item along all of the column D. Okay, so what is the result we will get with this pivot table? As you can see, is it, and we only pick value from D as try to do maximization, is it? And the index only going to get from column A, okay? And for the new column, it's from the original column C, okay? So this is another example show how to use pivot table. And with pivot table, then you can do some further task, is it? So what over here, so maximum item is this new data frame, is it? With this new data frame, you can select this column. And with this column, you say, okay, I want to only pick, do the filtering, the filtering with all of the values that are greater than 0. Is it? So all positive values, then we only have these 2 values. Is it? And then we want to output of that. So that's how we get the result look like this. Okay. So you can see it's quite helpful. Okay. And with pivot table, here it shows one more example as on the original data frame. We still do all of the aggregation on column D, is it? And this time the index, you said, okay, I want to use column A, is it, for the index, and the column C, original column C still as a column, but here it didn't specify, is it? So didn't specify the aggregation functionality. It didn't specify, is it? So, but for pivot table, it always needed to apply some aggregation operation, is it? So what this default aggregation function is what? Is to do mean. Okay, to do mean calculation. Okay, and then we have the result, looks like this. Okay. Okay, so this is regarding pivot table. Okay, and then next is regarding time series. Time series. Okay, for the time series, let's take a look. So here we use Pandas date range to create a time series. Okay, then you can specify when you want to start. So January 1st, 2012, is it? How many you want to generate? We want to generate 10 items, is it? And what's the frequency with the time series based on second? And over here, it shows us the result, is it? And you can use this as it says daytime indexing, is it? A lot of time, because one of the very nice thing for Pandas is to apply it to a lot of time series applications. And so here you can, you see, you can use the date range to also generate daytime index. Okay, and then with that, is it? So did you see that's the date times, daytime indexing, is it? So you specify the daytime sequences that you just generated, is it? And then we want to use that to generate a series of numbers, some random number, is it? And the index, so this part serves as indexing. This serves as indexing. Okay, the index is from the original data time index. And what we can do next, we can also say, you can do some resample, specify how long you want, and then do some operations. So here is the summation, is it? Okay, and then what next one try to show is we have some new series we can generate, okay, based on March the 6th, 2012, okay. And how many we want to have? 5. Frequencies were based on day, okay. Then you generate sequence of numbers, okay. So this is the result. So this is the value, and here is the indexing index, okay. And for over here also you can also specify the time zone, okay. Central time or Eastern time, Mountain time, is it Western time? So you can also specify the zone. You can also do conversion, okay. And what next one try to show is you can also specify frequency as months, is it? So here it shows we start January 1st, 2012. Is it June 1st? But frequency is what? Is months. So did you see the index is based on each month? Okay, each month. But sometimes you may not interested in the specific month day, is it? And if you want to kind of shorten it, you can call 2 period or 2 timestamp. Then it only provide you with the months, okay? You don't need to know the specific day, okay, because we only care about months. Okay, what the next one try to show is convert between period timestamp, okay. And here, once again, we have the period range specified. Specify the starting, ending, and the frequency. And the frequency over here is what? Is quarter, okay. So this shows quarter. And then here it shows the first 6. Is it the first 6 values based on this generation, okay. And then over here, generate series. The series, the index based on what? Based on this period range that we just generated, okay. And then you can also see as frequent using months, is it? And using hour, is it? And you advance the hour to 9 o'clock, okay. So you can do a lot of customized design when you pick a date and time as indexing. Okay, so that's regarding time series. What the next one try to show is about a categorical type of data. Okay, so here we have data frame, is it? So we have ID, and we also have raw grade, is it? And this is default index. So we have two column, is it? Two column. And then over here, what we do is we said, okay, this is some new column called grade, is it? And what it based on is based on raw grade column, is it? And it convert time to what? It said get the type as categorical type, is it? So you can also specify categorical type. And then what it shows, is it? Next, it shows this column, is it? That's what this column, and the data type, it's a category. And what are the three categories? A, B, and E, is it? Okay, so that's regarding categorical data. And then over here, it also shows you can also rename. Okay, with that column grade, is it for the categorical, the category, we rename it instead of A, B, and E, is it? Here we have A, B, and E. So A, B, and E, is it? And you can rename it. And then when you show the result, did you see? It will do the automatic mapping for us, is it? So instead of A, B, E, you have very good, good, and very bad, okay? Okay, so and it says you can also reorder. Okay, so let's take a look at the grade. And grade here says you can also set a category. Okay, set category. That category you can provide all of the categorical level, the categorical level. And then when we display, did you see it's also will pick the corresponding one to map what you originally have as A, B, and E, is it? So it will take the map, is it? So A, B, and E. And because originally we have A, B, E, is it? Excuse me. But we know based on alphabet, it's missing C and D, is it? So that's why over here, you can feel both. Sorry. Hold on, I need to get. So over here, C and D, basically you already have bad and medium also filled in, is it? But when you get the corresponding column, it still just pick a very good, good, and very bad, as it will do the automatic mapping. So that's regarding the categorical data, okay? And what next one then shows, because you apply categorical, you can also do sort, okay? So sort per order in the category, is it not a lexic order, is it? Okay, so if you recall, this is a raw grade, is it? ABE, is it? And this is grade, is it? And you want to sort the value, is it, in ascending order? So it changes from very bad to very good, versus original we have very good to very bad, is it? So here we kind of reorder it. And you can also then call group by, as the previous we learned group by. And today we also learned you can also use a pivot table to do grouping, is it? Okay, you can call the group by based on the grade, is it? And then you do count. So this is kind of like a histogram, is it? For each category, it will count how many items fall in within that category, okay? Okay, and I think that's all for this note. So we complete this note, and I think today we just going to have a short lecture. Okay, so we stop here and.